Everything's come together with the portrait. And so with the portrait, hey there art people, and welcome to episode 5 of Drawing Resilience with your host Allison. I was trying to think of like a cool news tagline I could do, like, and on micron pens, it's Allison, but it didn't flow right, so pretend that like worked and was really funny. Today's good news, keeping with the news anchor theme that I'm going for today, I guess, is that an indigenous Native American tribe has reclaimed ownership of their ancestral land in Big Sur. Very wholesome. I love it. So today's video, in the last video I finished the hair, which was really exciting and a much needed mental break for me. So now I will be going into kind of the final steps of this drawing. So I want to add some more shading to their face, make it look a little more lifelike, a little more vibrant. And I will also just finish up this area here, thinking about adding a t-shirt, but I don't know, maybe just for consistency I won't, because the initial piece also didn't have a t-shirt. And you know, like, if I do this, it looks just like that. It looks like I'm not wearing a shirt. So maybe like every single person in this series is just wearing a off-the-shoulder top. Even if I draw men, off-the-shoulder top. Who says men can't wear off-the-shoulder tops? Don't be ridiculous. That's not right. Anyway, too much coffee today, maybe. But anyway, gonna finish that up, and then depending on how long that takes, because it might not take that long, but who knows, I may have just jinxed it. But if I can finish that pretty quickly, and I'm feeling optimistic, then I can get started on adding the words in, and that'll be the final step. And also I'm excited because the words are going to be like the commonality for this whole series, and I think having like putting those in there is really going to be what makes this feel like complete and awesome to me. And it's like, duh, of course putting the words in will make it feel complete because that's the last step, but it's like by itself it's just a nice portrait, but bringing those in is like what really adds the meaning that I'm trying to communicate. So I'm gonna get started on that, and if I can finish this in 5 videos, I'll be really proud of myself, because the last one took 8, and I would call that improvement, even though they're totally different pieces. Okay, so I feel like I'm in a good place. I really like how everything's come together with the portrait. And so, with the portrait, so I'm gonna add in the words now, and they're gonna be, I'm actually just gonna go through some text conversations I have with a couple friends where we've been talking about their problems dealing with doctors and like trying to figure out what's going on and how difficult it is when there's not like a super glaring problem and all that she has to go on is what she's feeling, and you know, the doctor's reactions and skepticism and how challenging that's been. So I am going to, like I said, just go through those messages, pick out some key phrases in there. I just like having a good hair day. And then I'm going to add them. So I'm going to do it a little different. In the last portrait that I did of the first Inner Strength title piece, I had all of the words kind of coming from one direction and like slamming into the subject. This time I'm going to have the lines and then have the words coming from like all over the place and intercepting the subject at like different points. And I think I'll actually, instead of using the 1 for the lines, I'm going to use the 8, and I'm talking about the pen size. So this is the 1, this is the 8, it's much thicker at the tip. I don't know if you can really tell that because it's so small, but maybe if I'll just compare them real quick for you. You can see the difference there. Yeah, you can definitely see that difference. So I did notice on that first inner strength piece, I was using the 1 for the lines, and it kind of faded, and it was harder to get like a strong, make like a strong mark. So I think using the 8 will be better, and I will probably use the 1 still for the writing, depending on how it looks. And I'm making a lot of changes. So instead of print, I also decided to go with cursive and see how that goes. Because even though I really liked the reasoning that I chose for using print in the first piece, I feel like the aesthetic of cursive just kind of vibes more, and it's going to create a more cohesive piece. So I might keep alternating, I don't know, but I really just think it will look a little better. Let me know if you agree or disagree, but I'm going to first draw the lines in pencil so I have the placement down, and then I will go over them in pen. So it's kind of hard to see in pencil, but it looks really good, I think. The script, the cursive, I think looks very elegant, really flowy, and I actually had a thought that it kind of works because doctors have very flowy cursive handwriting when they like sign stuff, when they write, at least from what I've seen, and so it kind of is on theme. And I guess I'll talk a little bit about the type of things that my friend and other people hear when they're dealing with, well, let me move. Okay, that's better. When they're trying to find out what's wrong with them and it's not obvious, like the invisible illnesses, symptoms that don't have an easy explanation. And one reason I was really inspired to make work about this is because so my friend and then a few other people I know have been having these problems for like years, and so for years I've been listening to them talk about, you know, different appointments they've had and just the different frustrations, and it's really shocking to me. Like I would just be flabbergasted, like every time it would be like, so it might be this, it might be that didn't pan out. They told me that it couldn't be this, even though I think that it might be. They wouldn't test me for it, like stuff like that. And obviously, like this is not my area of expertise, and there's a lot that I don't know about these issues and about the way that things are tested and all that medical stuff, but I do know that it shouldn't be that difficult to be able to work with someone to find out what's wrong with you. And I think that's what shocked me so much, was that she and a lot of the people that I was talking to about this, they just feel dismissed and they feel kind of like ignored, and they feel like they're being treated with this level of skepticism. And just like with any other big issue, like, nobody wants to be miserable. Nobody wants to have these problems. Nobody wants to be a medical mystery. Like, people want solutions. And sometimes, at least in the conversations I've had with friends going through this, they feel like they're being treated as though they're just hysterical or hypochondriacs, or as if they're just constantly looking for problems. And I thought that must be so hurtful to experience, and I really wanted to make work that kind of acknowledged that and talked about it a little bit. So some of the words I have here, like I said, are things that have been said to me, or things that they've told me they've experienced. Going into a few of them, right here, she mentions, like, no one mentioned that was an option. That was one thing that stuck out to me. It's like, if you're going to appointments for like months and years, like, it doesn't feel like it should take so long to find out what all your options are. A phrase I hear a lot is, I had a rough health week, and that one just kind of breaks my heart a little bit. Things about ordering their own tests, think kind of like throwaway phrases that they'll hear, like, oh, it might just be your anxiety, have you considered that? Like, oh, it might be your depression, have you considered that? Like, looking at other diagnoses and pointing to them as kind of like, well, what you're experiencing is probably just because of that, and then using that as justification not to explore it further. Ugh. But really, I just felt like, I don't know what the solution is. I can't speak to how to make it better, because I don't consider myself an expert in the healthcare industry, and I don't want to speak out of a place of ignorance. It's something that I'm teaching myself about, but I don't yet know enough to say, like, here's what I think we should do. I like to have an educated opinion before I present it, but I do think that it should not be this hard, and I really hope that making this piece and making other work in this series, my whole goal with this series is to bring light to issues, help foster conversation and understanding, and just kind of recognize the people who are dealing with these, and just making it look easy and going through life as though they're not dealing with all these struggles, like as if these things aren't weighing them down. So it's kind of that's like what this piece means to me and what I'm hoping to accomplish with it. And now that I've talked and realized that it's really hard to draw a straight line while talking, I'm going to finish up this piece and make the lines flow into the words like I did with the last one. And again, I think aesthetically it's gonna look a lot more seamless, because cursive it's a lot easier to just move into a line. Well, I can hardly believe it, but Resilience is finished. I'll be putting a nice picture of that up on my Instagram and my website, so be sure to check that out and let me know what you think. And thank you so much for watching the second live drawing series. Please like, subscribe, and I will see you next time.